Hey everybody, welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm Michael Noland, and all I've got to say is what a year it's been. Now I'm going back to last year around this time, 2022, with the release of the Beatles' brand new remixed Revolver album. Of course, between then and now, we have received a ton of brand new albums by several classic rock artists. Of course, I'm talking about Ozzy Osbourne, as well as Tears for Fears, Jethro Tull, and even Paul Rodgers, and several more albums, 72 Seasons by Metallica. But just a few weeks ago, we received magic, didn't we? We got the release of the Rolling Stones' brand new Hackney Diamonds album, a fantastic album, to be followed immediately by the Beatles' brand new single, and then two albums for the price of one. Well, not for the price of one unless you're buying the box set, but of course I'm talking about the brand new, re-released, remixed, added to the album kind of package, the Beatles' Red and Blue albums. Now, surprisingly to many, the Beatles' brand new single went number one in England, and the Blue album is at number 2, with the Red album following close behind at number 3, and we're anticipating both of them to move up a notch to the 1 and 2 positions. But tonight, what I want to do is go over primarily the Red album, and then we're going to get to one of the cuts on the Blue album, because I put out a poll and over 500 of you responded, and I'll give you the results of that poll at the end of tonight's video. All right, so first of all, the Beatles single is wonderful. I love it. But I got to tell you, when I heard that they were going to attach that single to these two albums, I thought to myself, what are the Beatles up to? You see, I was, like many of you, expecting a remixed Rubber Soul. You see, I didn't think it was even appropriate to release these particular albums or re-release them. I thought they should re-release these albums when the rest of the albums were remixed. But then it hit me. This is actually one of the smartest things the Beatles could have ever done. Think about it. If they had released Rubber Soul this year, then Help the following year, what would remain? The Beatles' early albums. And for many casual fans, those aren't the ones they go and buy immediately. But now with this re-release, this remix and addition unto, what do we get? Well, folks, we get a See's sampler, don't we? You know, like See's candy, the boxes you get. Some of the candies are chocolate, some are milk chocolate, dark chocolate, some have nuts, some have fruit filling. And there's a reason why See's sells those. Just like there's a reason why the Beatles have done what they've done with these two albums. You see, they're hoping that with these hot new mixes, people's interest in those early albums are going to increase, and when they do get to them, they'll sell a whole lot better than if they had just gone down the road it seemed like they were going down. But just how good are these remixes? Well, we're going to be talking about primarily the Red album tonight, one track off the Blue album, as I promised. But I would have to say, in general, the Red album, is a good mix with a couple of near misses. But I want you to keep in mind as I go through these that near misses with Beatle material is tantamount to treason in my book. I'd better hear everything that I heard on more inferior mixes. After all, that's what the Beatles gave us. In other words, I'm talking about the instrumentation and where it sits in the mix. Now, Love Me Do is a fine mix. I have no problem with it. It's not one of the Beatles' best songs. As a matter of fact, it was their first single, and it only went to number 17. But when you look at it within the song itself, they do a fine job on the mix. A whole lot more bottom end, and you'll be hearing more of that tonight, and a whole lot more crunch to the drums. Once again, I think the mix should have been mixed up, but I guess that's why God created the volume knob. As far as Please Please Me and I Saw Her Standing There, every bit as good. I'll even give a bump up for I Saw Her Standing There. Wow, it was powerful before, but now that song just smacks you right in the face. Same thing with Twist and Shout, From Me to You, and She Loves You. Solid mixes. No problem with any of these three songs. As a matter of fact, it kind of excites me for picking up those albums when they become available. But the first two stars that jump out of this mix a bit for me is I Want to Hold Your Hand and This Boy. This Boy, especially for the acoustic guitar intro. That's the way I always wanted to hear it. All My Loving, you know what? Out of all these early cuts, this is the one that needed a remix the most, and now it's a superstar. What a powerful piece this recording has become. Roll Over Beethoven has jumped to a new level for me. Not one of my favorite tracks by the Beatles, but it is much improved. Now, one of my favorite John Lennon songs is You Can't Do That. Not only did it retain the cowbell, but you can hear the bottom of the cowbell. I love it. It gives it more depth. It gives it more dimension. A Hard Day's Night hits you right between the eyes, but And I Love Her is a bit of a disappointment to me. That guitar riff should still be off to the side. I just can't hear it in the middle of the stereo spectrum. 8 Days a Week is another one that I always felt needed a remix badly. It shines here, folks. I Feel Fine jumps right into your brain with Paul's wonderful bass note at the beginning. It blends to that feedback. Oh, what a wonderful track. Yesterday is one of the superstars on this album. This is the way we should have heard Yesterday to begin with. Paul surrounded by that quartet, and they do it so very well in this remix. This one is a standout, folks. I'm not too crazy about the remix of Help. The acoustic guitar has almost been mixed out of this song. This is what I'm talking about. If you're going to remix the Beatles, don't you dare touch the instrumentation and the level, or at least the prominence of that instrument, in my opinion. Same thing with You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. Matter of fact, this is one of the worst remixes on the album. It sounds murky. It sounds muddy, folks. But We Can Work It Out shines like a brand new penny. Everything is up. This is the way we needed to hear this song. Now, Day Tripper is one of those songs that gets some pluses and some minuses. The bass and the drums snap more. The bass is more prominent. Love that aspect. But listen to it again, folks, and you'll notice a lot of Ringo's ride and cymbal work has been brought so far down in the mix, it doesn't quite sound like the same song to me. And the same thing goes for Drive My Car. Where in the hell is the cowbell? You can't do that. Not to beloved Beatle music. I don't like the way they bring John's guitar to the center of Norwegian Wood. I like it when the sitar and the acoustic guitar stand in juxtaposition of each other. Almost a synchronicity in between them and everything else falling in the middle. I don't care for them dragging that guitar to the center of the stereo spectrum. Nowhere Man, one of my favorite John Lennon songs, sounds amazing, as does Michelle. I've already stated that in past videos. This is also one of those songs that's way up there with Yesterday, and so is Nowhere Man, in my opinion. Now, for me, the best remix on the album for Punch alone is If I Needed Someone by George Harrison. This, to me, is the star of the album. I'm a major George Harrison fan, and I love to see his mix treated with such purpose. In Girl, it's a good mix, but the way they've mixed John's voice, his snideness, is missing. Listen to the two and tell me which of these two songs sound like a snide young man talking about a girl. They missed the boat with this one, folks. Now, Paperback Writer, in my opinion, has two things going for it. First of all, it's a good general mix, and the bass and the drums are just punched and squashed up in there just perfectly, right? But what they do with the harmonies here, centralizing them, no. That takes away that almost Queen-like sound they achieved on the original recording. All right, folks, so I'm going to stop there with Paperback Writer. I covered Paperback Writer mainly because I didn't cover it as well as I wanted to when I covered the Revolver album last year. I'll leave a link to that up in the corner if you're curious about my thoughts on those remixes. Now, I'm also going to be covering the Blue album here shortly, much in the way I covered the Red album tonight. Now, I've already covered I Am the Walrus in detail, and in my community tabs, I opened up a poll with over 550 of you responding, okay? And I asked a very simple question. Do you like the remix of I Am the Walrus? And the primary results are in, okay? If it changes, I'll let you know when I cover the Blue album. But as of now, it seems that the majority of you feel as I do, that you don't care for the new remix. 58% of you voted for that. 42% of you voted that you liked the new remix. So it wasn't a landslide by any stretch of the imagination. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video tonight. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. That helps with channel growth, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, that's easy. All you have to do is hit that subscribe to the tribe button, tap that top bell icon, and you'll be notified of all my future videos. All right, folks, I'm Michael Noland. This is The Bottom Line, and together, folks, you and I, we are the tribe.